Coming up on episode 113 of the Creative Writing Podcast, I'm talking all about bad pitches.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Creative Writing. This is the podcast for you, a writer, blogger, or creative who wants to build an online platform without being smarmy. So we are in a series all about collaborations, getting ready for my new book, Creative Collaborations, which will be out on November 2nd. And when you hear this, it just might be ready for pre-order on Amazon. I've never done a pre-order before, so I'll let you guys know how that goes. I was always really scared I wouldn't have it done, and they have this requirement, and I don't know. I don't do well with constraints, you guys. So that's me. But I am having it up early this time because I've got the cover now. You guys help me choose in the Facebook group, so you can head over to creativewriting.com/collab book to check that out. You can also find out all about the party that I'm having, and I would love for you guys to come to that. It's going to be November 2nd here in Houston. I've got information in the Facebook group that you can find. If you go to creativewriting.com/community, you can get all the details. So today we're going to talk about bad pitches, and I would be willing to bet that you guys have your own bad pitches. And what I mean by that, I basically mean that you guys have lots of different emails and requests and things that you guys get that are not a good fit for you, or they're really gross, or something else. And so they're just not a good fit at the least. At the worst, they're just yucky, or sometimes illegal, actually, or violating laws of the FTC and different things. So I am going to share a few of those. I might read a few with you and kind of go through what makes them a bad pitch. And then conversely, that will help us know what a good pitch is. Now, at the end of the episode, I will have all the links. I will mention and give shout outs to my supporters on Patreon and give you some more information and links that you guys can find. So let's dive right into bad pitches. Here's why this matters and why I have a chapter on pitching and the perfect pitch in my book, Creative Collaborations. When you are trying to collaborate with somebody for the first time, it may not be a pitch I think we think of sales pitch, or sometimes you get these cold pitches, which I'm going to read a couple in a minute. And that's kind of what we think of. And another word I actually really like for this is an ask, like you're asking something of them, but it's kind of where you're actually emailing the person or contacting them, broaching the subject of a potential partnership. So pitch might not be a word that feels, like the best description, but I think it's a good all-encompassing term because that's really what it is. You're giving them an idea of how you might work together and seeing if they're going to say yes or no. So at some point when you're doing collaborations, you're either going to get pitches, which I get them all the time. The more you blog and the more content you have, especially if you have something that ranks well on Google or does well on Pinterest, you're going to get more and more emails. And I feel like, in a lot of ways, and I think I've talked about this before on this show, but as you kind of have traffic breeds traffic. And as you get followers breed followers. And as you start having income breeds income. And, I think there's probably some practical reasons for that, but it also just seems to be how it is. Like once you get past a certain number of followers, the followers come easier. Once you get past a certain threshold with money, it seems to kind of come in more easily. And so, you're going to get a lot more pitches. Pitches breed pitches, or popularity brings pitches. I don't know. So these things are going to happen. You're going to have more and more of these pitches. And the collaborations, I feel like the more and more of them I do, like speaking on summits or being involved in bundles, the more my name gets out there in front of people. So when you have successful collaborations, you're going to have your name out there and you're going to find that more of them come your way. So I remember, I guess it was almost 2 years ago, I spoke at my first virtual summit. I didn't really even know what that was. And, it was really cool. I was really excited. I didn't really know. I knew about virtual summits, but Anyway, it was a new audience for me, somebody I wasn't used to collaborating with. And then we kind of talked about me joining their mastermind group that he was in with a few other small people, which did not work out. And I'm actually really glad about that. But, that was another opportunity that came my way. And then I was asked to speak somewhere else because I spoke at that summit and somebody saw me. When I spoke at Blog Her Food, I then was asked to speak at the Mediavine Publishers Conference because somebody from Mediavine was in the room and enjoyed hearing me speak. So these opportunities, as you start to get them, sometimes at first they feel really slow, and then you'll hit a hump, like cross over the hump, and you won't hit it. You're going to go over the hump, and then you'll start getting more and more opportunities. So we need to talk about good pitches, but it's much more fun to talk about the bad ones. So I've started saving these, and I wish I'd done it earlier because I've gotten some really terrible ones. These are sort of just mildly bad, but let me share kind of the two main things that these pitches have that are bad, because some of them you may not know, and they're actually could get you in trouble with Google or the FTC. So the first kind of pitch that I'm going to cover and that I get tons of, and raise your hand if this is you too, are the ones asking you to put a backlink in your post. It's kind of that skyscraper method. That Brian Dean from Backlinko he's the one I think who maybe coined it. I'm not sure if he was the first one to do it, but kind of called it that, where you find a post that's doing really well on a subject similar to a subject you write on, and you create a post, and then you email the person who wrote the post that's doing well and getting a lot of traffic and showing up in search, and you ask them to put your link in their post. Like, hey, I also wrote about bread machines. I would love it if you put my bread machine link in here. And what that does is when you have a backlink like that, that's something that helps build SEO. It's other people linking to your content, and that kind of breeds authority and credibility. It tells Google that your site is more reputable. So that's a good thing. But people, SEO has continued to evolve. Google has continued to update algorithms and things because people always try to game the system, right? No surprise here. But when people realized backlinks were helpful, they started doing all of these trades for backlinks and paying actually for backlinks. And I'll still get emails asking people, and I'll read one of them in a bit, people asking me to pay me to put something in, on my site. So this is the reason that people want it's called a do follow link. And that sends kind of Google juice their way, SEO juice their way, as people kind of call it, and is helpful for them. And they're emailing and probably pitching like 25 other people who also show up in search, because if they can get 25 backlinks for bread machines, that really helps build their credibility. It might make them show up sooner in search as well. So that's kind of their game, but Google doesn't want that practice. It definitely doesn't want the paid practice. If they're offering to pay you, those links need to be no follow links. If you want to learn more about no follow and do follow links, you can go check out the Boss Girl Creative podcast, and episode 24, Taylor Bradford breaks this down completely, but I'm going to give you a super brief definition. But basically, do follow links give you that SEO juice from Google. So that's why everybody wants them. When you are paid for something, Google wants those to be no follow. So affiliate links should be no follow. Your sponsored posts, all those links should be no follow. Basically any of those kinds of things should all be no follow. Now, the way you do that is you can do it in the HTML code, which I would recommend, even though I like the ultimate no follow plugin. If that plugin ever stops working, you then don't have your links no followed anymore. But it's basically like a code, like you add into the HTML code, rel equals quote, no follow, end quote, in kind of the code where you're adding the link in. And if that sounds super techie, it's not actually super techie. It just sounds really techie, super easy to do, but that will keep you out of trouble with Google because they will put penalties on you for having that. Now, I didn't know about this when I first started blogging and had so many posts and probably had all kinds of links that should have been no followed and were do follow. And so I actually paid, there's a service from the Blog Fixer, and I'm an affiliate for them. So if you want to go to creativewriting.com/blog fix, you can use that affiliate link to go purchase. They have a whole service where they will go in and actually no follow all of his links. And it was really worth it because you don't want to get in trouble with Google. You want to be able to have people find your site in search. And if you get that kind of penalty against you, it's just bad news. So yeah, you don't want that. So when those people are asking, especially if they're asking to pay, but it's also kind of smarmy. I mean, the line is really gray. People have these big debates because Google has really come down hard on do follow links, and even guest posting. People are like, I'm not sure if I should do this, because then people tried to game the system with guest posts and would just stuff a ton of links in those guest posts trying to get, SEO juice and all that with Google. And so Google didn't like that either. Really, if you're not being gross and smarmy and you're just being a normal person, linking to content you want to link to, not trying to stuff things in places or get paid for stuff you shouldn't get paid for, you're going to be fine. So don't worry about this. Just, you should know that often when these people are messaging you about this, it's really not a practice that you should be doing. Also this goes to kind of in that same vein, I get pitches for sponsored posts all the time. Like, we'd love to write a post on your blog. All that we require is that you use do follow links, and then we'll pay you. And I always write those people back and say no. And often they will ask, actually, I've had a few say, you can't disclose it. And I'm like, so now you're asking me to violate the FTC laws, the Federal Trade Commission laws, and get in monetary trouble and in trouble with Google. Like, what is wrong with you? But people do that. So I do get those pitches, just so you know. And I'm going to read you one in a minute. So I also get a lot of posts about, or emails about infographics. Like, don't you want to add my infographic? No, I don't. I mean, infographics are great. They're very shareable, but it's the same thing. They just want that backlink in the site. And if I'm going to link to something else, I would rather link to something that I find on my own that I actually found helpful versus something someone's emailing me. Because a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times the sites are really spammy and they're just laden with ads, and they're really just trying to build up their search ranking for things. And so I just don't want to have any part in that. That's just not what I'm about, and I'm not interested in that. So I will share an example of that in just a second. The second main kind of bad pitch that I get are pitches that are bad for me and really good for the person pitching. And these don't all mean that that person is bad. I'll give one example where the person is not bad, but they just weren't really being very considerate. And then sometimes it's just really that it's not a good time for you or not a good fit for your audience. So as an example of this kind of bad pitch, I get pitched a lot for summits because, again, once you speak at something, people hear you. And if you do a good job, they may want you on their summits. And I got asked to speak on a summit, and the girl's like, you'd be really perfect. Here are my requirements. And it was like this big, long list. And one of the requirements was a number of email subscribers you had to have. And I think I actually had that number, but I really don't like those kinds of requirements. I do understand why people do them, especially, a lot of times people are doing these summits to build their list. So I do get it. But at the same time, here's what happened. So I was like, oh, I don't like that. And I was like, I've never heard of her. Let's just check her out. Cause you haven't heard of everybody in the internet. We're all famous in our own little places, right? So I checked her out, and, you can't see people's email list numbers, but her social following was like super low everywhere. And I checked a couple platforms, and so I emailed her back, and I guess I was kind of in a mood. Sometimes I'll just say no, but I was like, so just a question for you, because I was check out your profiles. How many email subscribers do you have? I saw that you're requiring, I think it was like 3,000 or 5,000. And she was like, oh, I've got 700. And I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in speaking at your summit. And here's the reason, you guys. What that tells me is that person is requiring all the speakers who have bigger requiring that they have a bigger platform. And then there were all of these share requirements. What was she bringing to the table? That was my big question. What is she bringing to the table? There's an affiliate commission if you do the upsell, but the thing with those is a lot of times I've started to see that as a negative because I don't want to sell to my list all the time. And if I am selling, I want to sell you guys stuff I believe in. And so I do have a lot of offerings, like probably every week in the quick fix, there's some kind of affiliate link, not to Amazon, because side note, you can't do that in email. It's against Amazon's terms of service. Like to just throw that in there. And always with disclosure in my emails. But, if I have a good resource and it's an affiliate, I'll share it with you guys. But I don't want to constantly be sending big sales emails to you. And that's what a lot of these things require. Like I think she required 4 to 5 emails, and you have to email every day. And I was like, man, what is in it for me? Maybe I'll make some sales, but I'm going to annoy my list. I'm going to speak at your event, and you're you're not, I don't know what you're bringing to the table. You're organizing it, but who are you? Like what is your goal? And her goal was clear. Like, yeah, she wanted to make money, but she also wanted to build her list, because if we're, all required to have that many people and she has 20 speakers, we're all emailing our lists of, 3,000 or 5,000 or whatever. And I'm sure they won't all opt in. Usually it's a pretty low conversion rate, I think, for things. But even if she got, like 20% of all those lists, she's going to explode her list growth, right? And meanwhile, I've just annoyed my list and sent something that may or may not be valuable. But I don't like that kind of thing. That feels smarmy and gross to me. And so it was an easy no for me. And so that's just something to consider. Now, I do talk in creative collaborations all about what to do if you don't have anything to offer, because that does not mean, it's not to say that if you have a small list or a small following, you cannot reach out to people who are bigger. That's not what I'm saying at all. So I do talk about that in the book and how you can do that well. And I share some examples from my email, and I actually have some templates. There's a free course, or kind of, it's not really a course, it's like free bonus content of videos and swipe files and different things. When you purchase the book, you'll get access to that as well. And I share some of the templates or emails that I sent to bigger people where I'm like, I've got nothing to offer you, but here's my pitch. And they said yes. And so I'm sharing some of those with you guys in the book a little bit, and then more in the bonus content. But again, not to say you can't do that, but there's a right and wrong way to do it. And I feel like if it's really apparent that your aim is only to serve yourself, and again, you may not have a lot to offer a person who's bigger, but there's still a right way that you can ask. You can ask in a way that's gracious. You can ask in a way, and normally this is kind of how I do it. Like, hey, I love your content. My audience would love your content. Would you at all be interested in coming on my podcast? And there's just such a difference in that, versus you have to have this and you have to do this. Do you see? I know you can probably hear the difference. I'm not going to keep beating on this. So it didn't mean that that girl was a bad person, but I think that her pitch was pretty inconsiderate. And I said, no, I'm not sure what other people said because I didn't follow to see if the summit even happened, but that's just not a great pitch. And I've gotten other summit pitches like that as well, where they're like, you have to have this and this and this. And those are an easy no for me. It doesn't mean those people are bad, but it's bad for me. Good for them, bad for me. And another kind of aspect of this is, and that was smarmy. I feel like those are pretty smarmy. Some may not be smarmy, they just might not be a good fit. I got an email this week from a company who wanted to feature me, and they are kind of dealing with design and logos and different things, but they have a lot of traffic to their site. And so they're like, we will feature you and do this, and then we can list you here. And it's not a great fit. So I'm kind of considering. They're like, we'd still love to, I was like, I don't do design. Like, that's not my thing. Some of my people will be interested in knowing about you. But I don't know how this would help me, because they said they could list me in their directory. I'm like, well, I don't design stuff. So your directory is about design. So we're kind of going back and forth, because sometimes everything doesn't have to be a perfect fit. You don't have to, if you're a designer, only post on design blogs. Sometimes it's good to kind of get out of that box and connect with people. People in all kinds of niches need design logos, right? People in all kinds of niches will need help with building platform and the kinds of things that I talk about here. So that's not to say it won't be useful to me, but you just really have to think about each opportunity. Does it fit my audience? Do I have time? And this is, I know I've talked about this before. I have a tendency to jump into things, but every time you say yes to things, you're saying no to something else, because you're adding something onto your plate. And unless you have tons of free time, which who does, you're having to take something else away. I don't always count that cost ahead of time. And then I find myself stressed out and overwhelmed because I can't possibly do all the things I've committed to. And I'm really excited about them. So for me, I've learned to, I don't say yes because I feel guilty. I'm not like a yes person. I just get excited, you guys. And so for me, I've had to train myself, okay, what am I saying no to? If I say yes to this, what's going to come off my plate? That whether it's just for the week or for that month or for however long it takes to do whatever that collaboration is. So you need to think about what you're going to say no to that's already on your plate, or what you're taking off your plate. You need to think about, what is the benefit for me? And I do think that we should say yes sometimes to pitches where there's not much in it for us other than just goodwill. Because I think the internet is a better place when we're all very generous, but that does not mean you have to say yes to everything. So you should count that cost. Now, I've talked about the two kind of main kinds of bad pitches, and I want to read a couple, and then we'll be done with this episode. I don't think we need to go too much into detail. I do wish that I had saved more of these and looked them up. So this is one I have. Actually, one of my most popular posts is about cleaning on my lifestyle blog is about how to clean pee off carpets and furniture, because I have puppies. Well, they're still kind of puppies. They're not peeing in the house so much anymore. I have 5 kids. We've gone through potty training and people peeing in the floor. Sometimes my kids still pee in the floor. I just can't even tell you all the places my boys, who are 7 and 9, pee. Like, I don't like coffee cans. I found pee in like a toy kitchen skillet the other day. It was in the bathroom at least. So I was like, well, there's that. But I'm like, why? So in any case, I have a lot of things to clean up. And here's the tip. You can go read the post, but you dump a whole bunch of salt on it, like almost a whole container, like a big mound of salt when it's wet, and it sucks that pee right out. It's some kind of like, chemical process, or, I don't know my sciences so well. So whatever kind of science it is, where it's like different properties are happening, you could actually talk with your kids about this. If you homeschool, you just have to look up the fancy things, since I don't know the terms. In any case, super popular post. So I'm getting emails weekly talking to me about carpet stuff. And I'm not interested, because I only wrote about that once. I'm not interested in writing a lot about pee. I could. I have a whole house full of stories of pee that I could put, but I don't want to write about that on my blog. So here's an example of a pitch. And there's actually a couple. So the first email was let's go. The first one was October 4th. And it says, hi there. My name is Redacted, and I'm the main editor at Redacted. I'm redacting them. She didn't. While browsing your site, I noticed you have an amazing article from this page, and then it has the link for my How to Clean Pee Off Furniture and Carpets. My team actually just published a comprehensive guide on how to choose a carpet rake, which I think your visitors would truly appreciate and add value to your awesome article. You can check it out here, How to Choose a Carpet Rake. And I should point out that it has a question mark at the end of how to choose a carpet rake, which doesn't make sense. But anyway, if you were willing to add our link to that page, I would be more than happy to share it to thousands of our social followers to help you gain some visibility in exchange. Woo, visibility. Let me know what you think, and thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Redacted. And then 2 days later, just making sure you saw this. That's all. That's a whole email. Didn't sign her name, anything else. Just making sure. And then 3 days later, I've reached out a couple of times, but I haven't heard back. I'd appreciate a response to my email below. I just found this super annoying, you guys. First of all, do not pitch someone and then reply 2 days later. Okay. Now the tip is you do want to reply to the email you sent. That's really helpful because it gives them that context again for what the original pitch was. So you find what you sent, hit reply to that, and it'll go to that person. That's helpful. Do not do it after 2 days. And then, for the love of God, do not do it again 2 days later or 3 days later. You should not be cold pitching people you do not know more than one time a week. Just period, the end, mic drop. So here's what I wrote. Hey, Redacted, sorry for not responding. Here's why, and I hope it will help as you continue your work online. 1, I wrote 1 post about carpets ever on my blog. I don't plan to write more. I know it's been getting lots of traffic, which is how you found it, but a little more research at all would have shown you that writing about carpets or carpet rakes is not at all anything my audience would care about. 2, 3 emails within 1 week is too many, especially when you're cold pitching someone you don't know. Amen, right, you guys? I get tons of these requests for my posts that are working well with SEO, and they all sound so similar. Most, like yours, are not offering anything that truly relates to my core content. I would be surprised if you get lots of positive responses from this kind of method. From the blogger perspective, I hate them, and I'm almost never responsive to these pitches. Normally I say that, but it's been a busy week. I'm only doing it now in hopes that I won't be getting any more emails from you. I don't mean this to be unkind, but I honestly hope it's helpful. I don't know any bloggers who actually want to work with people who send these kinds of emails. Best of luck to you, Kirsten. So she caught me on maybe not the nicest day. I don't know if you guys think that's mean or like totally fine. But when I get 3 emails in 1 week from someone I don't know about something I don't care about, I get a little mad. Okay, here's another great one. I love this one. You'll know why right away. Dear your site. Yes, it says dear your site. It doesn't tell me my site name. Dear your site. I hope you are having a great day. I found your website during my research and thought it would fit for one of my campaigns. I would like to know if you are interested in working with me on creating some exciting content for your website. I would like to place a tailored article on your website for one of my campaigns. Our client is a respectable and well-known international food delivery company. Therefore, the article will contain a link to their website. We also aim to write on the current trending topics, which will be worth sharing on your social network too. The budget for this campaign is $80 plus transaction fee. It will be paid to your PayPal or bank account within 20 working days when the article goes live on your website. Here are the terms posted for the article. Or here are the terms for the posted article. 1. The client's link will be set as do follow. 2. The article will stay on the website for minimum 12 months. 3. The article will be published as the website's own content without being tagged as sponsored, guest, or advertise. Can we have a deal on this? Please let me know. Best regards, name redacted. Can you guys see, after I've talked to you about this, can you see the red flags? Are they popping up? Are they making your brain explode? I know a few of you guys who are as anal as I am about disclosure and FTC. Taylor, if you're listening, I know your head is exploding right now. So here's what I wrote back. Hey, thanks for reaching out. Just so you know, I never do that kind of post. They violate Google standards and can get you banned in search results. It's a terrible practice for brands and bloggers, should know better than to do it. More than that, what you're asking is totally against the FTC guidelines as well and can result in massive fines for you and for me. You should let your company know that they are treading in dangerous waters. Had you given me the name, I would consider reporting you myself. Kirsten. And I would have, honestly. He works for a company, I guess, that sets these up. So he did not mention the name of the International Food Delivery Company. And I have his name, but that company, I don't have the time. I'm not interested. But that pitch was asking me to do something that could get me in trouble with Google and with the FTC for only $80. I mean, sometimes, I know when you're desperate, when you need money, like we're in a place of like, money sounds great, but not for the possibility of that. And the fines for the FTC are really massive. Again, if you go to Boss Girl Creative, one of the latest podcast episodes, Taylor talks with a representative from the FTC about this. So it's a big deal and they're starting to come down on vloggers. So you just always say no. You don't have to reply. I picked two that just really got my goat because they're fun to read, but also they made me reply because I was so irritated. So I hope those help you. And I know you guys are not sending those kinds of emails. Now, I will say this caveat to the whole skyscraper method, sending people emails about backlinks. Darren Rouse from ProBlogger, who I highly admire, recommended this on his podcast as a method that you could use. But here's the thing, and here's why it works for Darren. If Darren Rouse from ProBlogger emailed you and said, hey, I write about this too, I would love it if you'd include my link. Would you not say, well, yes, Darren Rouse of ProBlogger, I absolutely will include your link. I'm usually, I often include links about, from his blog anyway, because I like his content. I know him, not personally. I do know of him. I have interviewed him on the podcast. He is just a great guy. And so, he has great content and he's a nice guy. Yes, I would do it. And also he's not asking in the same way. Like he's not going to write to me and be like, dear your site. That's not going to happen from him. If you have a great reputation and name and people already follow you, they might be willing to do this. But if you're just some random person cold pitching somebody who happened to have great SEO on a post, no, it's just yucky. But anyway, I know you guys aren't doing this. And if you are, you're probably doing it more like Darren recommends, which is just a little bit more personable and not, I get this, I literally, it's word for word, the same email from all kinds of different people, word for word. So one day last week, I got, I think 4, and they actually, if I could take a screenshot, I would show you, but they all had like they all had the same, what is it called? Subject line. I'm sorry. I had just like total brain, whatever. Like I saved them all in this one folder and it's like question, need to ask you something. I'd love to write for your site. Guest post inquiry, question. And all those question ones are in all caps. Love your content and a proposal. Contributing content, goodies for you. Love your content and a proposal. Do you hear it? Like they are all getting this information from the same place. They're all copying and pasting a template, and templates are something I talk about in the book, Creative Collaborations. Go get yours now, get your pre-order so you can learn more of this kind of stuff. And you can find that at creativewriting.com/collab book. But anyway, no one wants to work with those people. I'm sure you're not doing that, but it's important to kind of think about as you want to write good pitches, save some of these bad ones because it's fun. It's fun to share, but also it's going to help you be a better pitcher in a good way because you can go back and be like, yuck, don't want to do this. This is illegal. This is gross. Not doing it. So just want to encourage you guys on that. And again, I mentioned this, but again, go check out the book. It's in pre-order. It should be up this week for pre-order. I had to get a few things in a row. You can see the cover that you guys helped choose for the book. And don't be mad if I didn't choose yours. And don't be mad. Some of you guys made some really compelling arguments for book covers that lost. And so I respect those opinions, but I think, say that it was the popular vote winning, so it may not be my favorite. You guys may have great, valid reasons, but I'm picking the popular vote. And hopefully, that's a good representation of people on Amazon will be attracted to the same cover maybe that the majority of you guys all were. So good to know. Check that out, creativewriting.com/collab book. And now I want to give some big thank yous and shout outs on the show. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, and we're actually going to have a bonus episode. I'm going to have to wait till my book is done. So I've got to get some last minute things done on the book, and then I can have that out. But for now, we have a great number of supporters. I'm super appreciative to you guys, and I'm going to have an extra episode because we met our goal. That's why we're having the extra episode. I met my first monthly goal, which was $50 an episode, and I'm super excited about that. And as a thank you, I asked my supporters to give me their questions. And if you haven't gotten them to me, I haven't recorded yet, you might be able to catch me. So you can put those in the group if you are up at the level where you're in the free Facebook group, or just send me an email. This week, the featured community member is Mira Kothend. And speaking of books, Mira has had some great success the last, I don't know if it's more, it might be more than a month, the last 6 weeks maybe, with her book, The 1 Hour Content Plan, which I highly recommend. You can find that on Amazon. And then she also has a really amazing book that she sent me a copy of just as a thank you, which was really nice because we worked together, we talked together, and it was just really sweet of her to do that. So thank you, Mira. It's a fantastic resource for planning out your blog content, for thinking about your finances and how you're going to be generating income. It's fabulous, big, giant, fat workbook. And I'm actually going to be putting a picture of that in the Facebook group. So you can go to creativewriting.com/community. But you can find Mira at mirakothend.com. That's Kothend with a K. I'll spell it all out. MERAKOTHAND.com. And she has a lot to say about email as well. Email and content strategy. She's fabulous. So here is a big thank you to all of my supporters: Nicolay Thompson, Matthew McCarrick, Kelly Grant, Marie Osborne, Katie Andrasky, David Snyder, Jenny Kokas, Chris Loomis, Cheryl Russell, Jenna Taylor, Sally Olson, Sarah Kennedy, Christine Goodner, Tisha Messing, Andy Cumbo Floyd, Christine Griffin, Roland Denzel, Mira Kothend, Matt Brady, Elizabeth Edwards, Tanya Goya, Mariana West, Pamela Hill, Ruthie Kerwan, Mary Dennis, Stephanie Nickel, Susie Taylor Oakley, and Jocelyn Brown. Thank you guys so much for being my supporters. I really, really do appreciate you guys and all that you do to support the show, and for helping me create this content and covering the costs and more to getting this podcast out. If you are interested in being a supporter, hearing your name on the show, getting some of the bonus content like the free Facebook group, you can check out the levels and rewards over at creativewriting.com/Patreon. I am so thankful also to Jasmine Commerce of JasmineCommerceMusic.com, who sings the lovely tunes you are hearing right now as we close out the show. She is an independent artist. I went to college with her. I love her music, and I hope that you do too. I hope it's stuck in your head all day, making you think of the podcast and also Jasmine. So go support her. If you can't think of her name, again, I'm going to just say go to creativewriting.com/music, and you can go buy her albums and help support an independent artist. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have an inspired week.